rise. From the Magic City, the sun and fun capital of the world, Miami, Florida, through the incredible speed of the NCR 315 computer, Warner Productions proudly presents the all-time heavyweight championship tournament. Hi, everybody. This is Murray Warner at the Miami Convention Hall for the first fight in the semifinal round of the all-time heavyweight tournament. And this just has to go down as the fight of all time. The one everyone ever interested in boxing has been looking forward to. Tonight's computer match features the Manasseh Mauler, Jack Dempsey, dream paired with the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. The all-time heavyweight tournament is made possible through the cooperation of the city of Miami, Ring Magazine, Chris and Angelo Dundee, and Mr. Hank Kaplan of the World Boxing Historians Association. We'll be back in a moment with Guy LeBeau and the details and some comments about tonight's fight. Back at Miami Convention Hall for tonight's first semifinal bout, and here's blow-by-blow announcer Guy LeBeau.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Maury. Well, we're finally getting down to the heart of the matter. A fight that people have been talking about for 30 years is about to happen. Joe Louis and Jack Dempsey, the Brown Bomber and the Manasseh Mauler. The boxer-puncher versus the no-holds-barred slugger. What a way to start the semifinal.
Right you are, Guy. The next week's semifinal between Rocky Marciano and dark horse Jim Jeffries. And then the big fight. The 15-round bout for the all-time heavyweight championship of the world.
But tonight's fight is the dream fight. It's the one that people have been talking about ever since Louis dominated boxing so completely in the late 1930s and early 40s. This man, Louis, held the title for 12 years. 12 years.
Dempsey had the title for 8 years, winning it from Jess Willard in 1919. And not letting go until Gene Tunney took it away from him in 1926.
These two have got to be the fiercest punchers that boxing has ever known. Dempsey knocked out 49 in 81 fights and knocked the giant Louis Firpo down 7 times in a single round after being knocked out of the ring himself. Louis knocked out 54 of 71 foes.
Oh, what a match. What a match. Angelo Dundee, the Miami Beach fight manager and trainer, gave us his opinion on this fight.
Well, that's a classic. That's a classic, because you got the believers in Dempsey and you got the believers in Louis. This is a tough fight because Dempsey might very well have Louis down because he'll hit him that early shot and knock him down. I think it would be a rock'em sock'em fight. I think Dempsey will give his all. I think Dempsey will fall in the late round.
Here's an offering by Joe Louis.
Well, that's a fight I like to be paid for, not fight. No, Jack is a great champion and always was. I would have to say that I think he's the best of all time.
After tearing off 22 knockouts starting in 1918, Dempsey knocked Jess Willard down 7 times in the first round during the bout in which he won the title. Big Jess was unable to come out for the 4th round. In his first big defense, that was in 1921, Dempsey knocked out Orchid Man Georges Carpentier in the 4th round of a fight that was the first ever carried on radio. Within 2 months in 1923, Dempsey defeated Tom Gibbons and Firpo. After losing the title to Tunney in 1926, Jack knocked out Jack Sharkey in 7 rounds the following year and was matched again with Tunney before 104,000 people at Chicago Soldiers Field. Tunney won that one, too, on the famous long count and eventually on a decision. But what a roster of opponents. Willard, Carpentier, Firpo, Tunney, Sharkey.
Now we're going to listen to Chris Dundee, the Miami Beach boxing promoter, and find out what he thinks about this match.
Oh, boy. That's a dream. Jack Dempsey was probably one of the greatest club fighters. By club fighters, I mean one of the greatest action and show fighters ever lived. Joe Louis was a great puncher. Joe Louis was good to look at, probably one of the greatest left jabs that anybody would ever have. He could hurt you with a left jab. He could bust your face open with a left jab. He could knock you down with a left jab. I think Jack Dempsey would have knocked out Joe Louis. The fight wouldn't last too long. Louis may have dropped Jack Dempsey down, too.
Although some of our fights in the all-time heavyweight tournament have gone the distance, no one expects tonight's fight to take 15 rounds, and no wonder. after looking at some of the knockout statistics run up by these two great fighters.
You know, Nat Fleischer, who publishes Ring Record Book and Ring Magazine, probably has been asked many, many times over many years to pick a possible winner in this fight.
I think that Joe Louis-Jack Dempsey fight would have been won by Joe Louis. I think that Joe Louis's general all-around ability, his ringship and all, would have overcome the hitting power of Dempsey, because in hitting power, I don't think there was much difference between the punches that Joe could land with effectiveness and those of Dempsey.
Louis knocked out Jess Willard in the 15th round in his first bout in this tournament, cutting Willard badly and winning nearly every round. Then Louis won a TKO over Ruby Bob Fitzsimmons. Here's Joe Walcott's prediction on this fight tonight.
I think this would be a question of who would get in trouble first. I think whichever fighter got the other end of trouble first would be the fellow who would come out on top, because both Dempsey was a tremendous one-punch fighter, and of course Louis was a combination fighter.
Joe Louis developed those combinations in an outstanding amateur career before going into the pros. In 1934, his first year as a professional, Joe scored 10 knockouts and won 2 decisions. During his second year, he knocked out 12 out of 14, including Max Baer, Primo Carnera, King Levinsky. But nobody screamed about pushing him too hard, because he already had become a national name. But in 1936, Louis got a solid jolt. He was knocked out in 12 by Schmeling, an 8-1 underdog. Then Joe beat another former title holder, Jack Sharkey, before the year was out. And then knocked out Jimmy Braddock in 8 to win the title. Right away, Louis got a rematch with Schmeling and knocked the German out in the first round, and Joe then was off and running. After nearly 12 years on top of the heavyweight world, he retired in 1949. But in 18 months, he was right back in the ring, winning a 15-round decision from Ezzard Charles. Joe won 7 times in 1951 before tackling Rocky Marciano. And Rocky knocked him out in 8, and Joe retired for the last time.
Here's Jim Braddock, another ex-great champion. We asked Jim if he could see just one fight of all the fighters that ever lived, pick just 2 men, who he would pick.
I think all the talk going on around since the time of Louis, there's always been talk about how would Jack or Joe come out in a fight. That's the one I like to see.
And then we asked Jim who would win.
I'd have to say the guy that landed the first best punch would be the winner.
Jack Dempsey knocked out Jim Corbett in 7 rounds in his first fight in this tournament. In the quarterfinals, Jack took the measure of the mighty John L. Sullivan. We'll be back in just a minute with some more boxing experts to take a look at tonight's match. Back at Miami Convention Hall for tonight's bout, 15 rounds or less between Manasseh Mauler Jack Dempsey and Brown Bomber Joe Louis, which will decide one of the finalists in the all-time heavyweight tournament.
Here's what I got when I asked Jack Sharkey, the great ex-champion, whom he'd like to see in a dream match.
Louis and Dempsey, it would have been one magnificent fight. I don't think it had gone too long. Dempsey rolled up in a little ball walking in, brother. He's hard to hit, and boy, when he hit you, even on the hip, he dislocated. If he hit you in the belly, his hand was sticking out your back. And if he hit you in the shoulder, he'd break your... And the other fellow would be, at the same time, jabbing and right crossing.
From the moment the first bell rang, there'd be punches thrown from both sides.
There wouldn't have been any hesitation, but once the bell rang, that's all there'd been to it. It's a toss-up as to what had happened. I know somebody got murdered.
And here's a word from Rocky Marciano, who will be in the other semifinal of the tournament against Jim Jeffries, and what he thinks about this fight.
Wow. If I knew that one, I'd probably be some kind of a prophet. I just don't know. That's the age-old question. It would probably be the fight of the century. Anybody's fight. Luck here might even play a part, because you just couldn't give either one of these 2 men the edge or an opening or the advantage. They were just 2 great fighters.
We had to press the rock a little bit into picking a winner.
Why, of course, had some experience with Joe Louis. And even though a lot of people thought he was over the hill, I'll tell you, he still could use that left jab of his. It was not only quick and fast and sneaky, but it had power. He could set you up with it, and he usually did. His right hand came right after it, and then came a hook. A great combination puncher, Joe Louis. A better combination puncher than Jack Dempsey, and you know what combinations mean in boxing.
What about the rest of Lewis's fighting weapons?
Joe Louis had the ability to think in there. He had the ability to move in on a guy. He could outbox you, and he could knock you out. I think that Dempsey's style would have confused Joe Louis. I think it would have given him a lot of trouble. I think that Dempsey could have hurt Joe Louis. But in my book, it seems as though Louis was a faster puncher and a faster man with his feet. And I think these two assets would have given him the edge over Jack Dempsey.
Dempsey could take a shot while Louis was vulnerable. After all, Joe was knocked down by some guys who weren't very good fighters.
But he usually got up and fought much better. Oh, yeah. After a knockdown, you've got to say this about Louis. He was a true fighter all the way. In my own case, for instance, when I knocked him down, he was really hurt. We have slow motion pictures of the knockdown of Joe Louis. When he got up, he handled me like I was a little kid. He had that natural instinct of getting up groggy off the deck and being at his best.
That has to be a help in a fight with Dempsey, because there's every chance in the world that both fighters will be on the canvas before this night is over.
We've been talking to Hank Kaplan, who gave us so much help in getting the data for these matches, and of course the question we put to him was the story about tonight's match as he saw it between Louis and Dempsey.
This fight presents the ingredients of one of the most sought-after matches in all heavyweight history. They're so well matched and excel in so many departments of boxing. Both are great punchers with either hand. Both throw that very important left hook with tremendous power. One is basically a slugger, mauler, Dempsey. The other, Joe Louis, is a boxer puncher type. This fight would ordinarily call for a knockout, but I believe, as in past fights which were contested by great punchers, the contest will go the limit. With Jack Dempsey piling up most of the points and a couple of knockdowns on the way, Jack will knock Louis down midway in the contest. Louis will survive the knockdowns, but will be on shaky legs throughout the remainder of it. Dempsey will pile up enough points to win the fight.
We also asked Jack Kearns, Jr., whose father managed Jack Dempsey, if his father ever talked about the prospects of this fight.
He has said this many times. He has said that the fight between Jack Dempsey and Joe Louis would be a great fight. But there's one difference. Jack Dempsey had more animal than Joe Louis. Joe Louis was a great finisher, but Jack Dempsey had a drive in the ring that was unparalleled. Joe Louis would have Jack Dempsey down on the floor. Jack Dempsey would have Joe Louis down on the floor. But Jack Dempsey would continue to get up.
Do you think Louis had any real weakness?
Joe had a little bit of a bad chin, and a bad chin is no place for Jack Dempsey to shoot him. Joe was down with the best and hurt by some ordinary fighters at times, but he was a great fighter because he would always get up and come back. This is the making of a great fighter. But how many times did Dempsey get up with Furpo and come back, knocked out of the ring, in some of the wars he had? I mean, you'd have to drag him out. That was Jack Dempsey's forte. They both had ability, they both had everything. Except Joe had a little bit of a bad chin. And in everything else, I'd say they were somewhat equal.
How long will the fight last?
I think Dempsey could win it anywhere from the first round on to the 10th or 15th round. I'll say this, I think Joe would beat him if it went 15 rounds. Jack would be feigning and moving in, and Joe is scoring. Maybe not heavily, but I believe that in 15 rounds, Jack would get to him sooner or later.
Well, we surely got some different opinions on this one.
And we're just seconds away from the start now. The fighters are in the ring. And here's ring announcer Paul Berman approaching his ring microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event. 15 rounds, the first semifinal of the all-time heavyweight tournament. Scoring is on the 10-point plus system. The mandatory 8 count will be in effect. The
center. We'll be back with the start of tonight's fight in just 1 minute. Now, both men on their feet. Dempsey scowling, Lewis impassive. Ruby Goldstein in neutral corner. The crowd hushed in anticipation. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Thank you, Murray Warner. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Round one between Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, and Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler. Most people would come to see either one of these fighters just appear in street clothes. You can imagine the excitement knowing they finally are matched. Dempsey has gone rushing across the ring, sends a quick 1-2 to the head of Joe Louis. Louis bows head, covers up well, a little off to the center of the ring, and Dempsey's flurry results in Louis taking 2 or 3 more shots on hand and arms. Dempsey swarms over Louis. Louis, of course, cannot be pushed back. Louis takes a left and right to the body, partially blocked, and Louis simply has decided to ride this out. Now Louis finds an opening. Louis drives a hard hook to the head. Louis follows with a blistering right to the head, and Dempsey goes back to the guard position. Louis takes a step forward, as if now to throw a left to the body. He does not throw, he changes his mind. Dempsey jabs twice to the head, and finally, some sanity is restored here early in the first round. Joe Louis and Jack Dempsey. Just the words rolling out of your mouth are enough to make you stop and say, did I say that? Yes, I did say that, and this is the computerized miracle match. Dempsey in action snaps a good left jab to the mouth. Louis walks toward Dempsey. Dempsey walks a little bit to the right. Louis returns his own left jab. It's not as hard as Dempsey's. Dempsey puts another stick in the face of Louis. Louis rams home a hard left to the body. Here is Louis with a right under the heart and hard again. Dempsey puts a left jab and right cross to the mouth of Louis. Louis shakes it off. Louis is pressing Dempsey at this point. Dempsey moving to the right. Louis drives a hard left and right to the body. Dempsey in return misses a left over the head, and Louis throwing the right first. Belts Dempsey hard on the cheek, rips the jaw with a following left hand. Louis is throwing a bit more accurately. They're throwing at about the same rate of speed. Jack Dempsey and Joe Louis in action has been furious since opening bell. Louis and Dempsey dance away from each other. Now Dempsey advances and follows Louis across the ring. Here's Dempsey coming into range. Here's Dempsey with a left jab and a good solid right to the head, and that stings Louis. Louis felt that down at the toes. Dempsey rams another straight right to the jaw. Here's Louis with his own straight right to the head, and then he goes in and ties Jack Dempsey up. That was a good solid flurry by Dempsey, and Louis felt it. Referee Ruby Goldstein separates them, takes them out to the center of the ring, and Dempsey is back to action at once. Dempsey smashing the body with a good left hand. They dance off from each other again. Here is Louis with chin very tightly. He puts a left jab to the face as he moves on Dempsey. Dempsey blocks another left jab. Louis drives a good left and right to the head. Louis is hitting fairly hard. Louis and Dempsey exchanging good shots to the head. It's been an exciting round. There's the bell.
Dempsey had a slight edge in round one. His solid shot to the jaw had Joe's knees buckling. Joe looks okay now, though. Neither man is cut. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
You know, many predicted a first-round KO by either fighter who lands the first good punch. So much for that prediction. Each one has landed more than one good punch. Dempsey rushes at Louis again. Louis is thinking of the day that Tommy Moriello crashed him when he was cold, and Louis is immediately behind a big fence. Dempsey, though, has the body to shoot at. Louis backs up as Dempsey powers a left and right at the body. Louis still backing up. Now Louis takes a step forward. Louis sends left hook right cross to the mouth of Dempsey. Dempsey puts a fine left under the heart. They are at very close quarters. Dempsey trying to bull Louis to the ropes, but that's going to take a great deal of bulling. Both men are great, by the way, at short-range punching. There is some difference between them. We'll get into that later. Both men have also been reasonably impervious to damage at short range. Now they move into a clinch, and there's something always going when they do. Some arms always flying, and mainly Dempsey's. And Louis is being brought to a tempo here early that he prefers not to fight at. He is being geared by the most savage fighter of all time, Jack Dempsey. Here is the clinch being broken up, and as they move to action again, Louis puts a left jab to the mouth. Dempsey returns a left jab. Dempsey hooks a left to Louis's head. Louis ties him up once more.
but Dempsey keeps the hand free, and that right hand is hitting in Lewis's midsection so often, I can't tell whether it's coming or going. And finally, referee Ruby Goldstein takes them apart. Boy, that was something. Dempsey is back again, and there is a street punch. A left hand to the jaw by Dempsey. It shakes Lewis. Dempsey fires a quick right to the chin. Lewis missing a left over the head. He's a little wobbly. As he backs off, he is wobbly. And Dempsey drives a right to the body, left to the chin. Lewis has gone down on the far rope. He's down. Here's the count. 3, 4. He'll be all right. He's now up for the mandatory 8 count, and he has made it back. He came up on one knee fairly quickly. He took the mandatory 8 count, and now he is all right. He's been down before. He's come back before. Dempsey, with split-second timing, had simply caught Lewis coming a little slowly out of the clinch, and boom. Now his gloves have been wiped off. Lewis, impassive, standing straight up against the ropes as Goldstein has wiped off the gloves. Dempsey at a neutral corner, now gets the green light. Dempsey runs across, throws left and right at the head of Lewis. Lewis is in the deep shell. Lewis's eyes are open, though, as the blows come raining in, and some of them are landing. Joe, though, is coming around. He's coming around. Joe drives an uppercut to the chin of Dempsey in close, whose head is buried on his chest, and Dempsey felt that. Dempsey felt that. Lewis puts a left hook to the head, but going like a machine is Dempsey, out-punching him at body and head by a ratio of 3 to 1 at least. There's the bell.
Joe appears to be fully recovered from that knockdown. Jack Blackburn worked feverishly between rounds. Doc Kearns yelling, "Finish him up" at Dempsey. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Okay, Murray, the styles of these two men require comparisons as we go along. Lewis waits for the opening. Nobody can seize upon it faster, but Dempsey makes the openings on his own. Lewis looks all right coming out for round 3. Dempsey walks briskly across the ring. Lewis is at his jabbing post again. Lewis puts a light left jab to the mouth, misses the next jab. Dempsey has to respect that stinging left hand. Lewis may have the best left jab in boxing history. Some say he does. Dempsey takes a left jab on the mouth, throws left and right hook lightly up ahead. Another left hand hits the shoulder of Lewis. A right hand by Dempsey is missed. Lewis has his shoulders very tightly together, so to punch together, the upper part of his midsection becomes a very tough target. Both men are now head-to-head, toe-to-toe. Lewis backs off. Lewis lands a jab to the mouth, but Dempsey leaps on top of him at once. There is a good left hook to the head by Dempsey. Another left to the head by Dempsey. Lewis rips a good hard left to the body and ties Dempsey up immediately. Lewis's responses, I must report to you, are good. But I also must say that Dempsey's fist can change a given situation very, very quickly. Ruby Goldstein taps Dempsey on the shoulder, and they withdraw to the center of the ring. This is the semi-final round between two men whose names are inscribed in greatness throughout the world. At the center of the ring again, Lewis streaks a left jab to the mouth. That was a good one. Dempsey misses a left hand. Lewis now with the guards down. Lewis rams a hard left to the body of Dempsey. Dempsey springs at the head again. Here are 2 hard hooks to the head by Dempsey. Lewis misses a right to the head. Lewis stands toe-to-toe with Dempsey. Here is Dempsey belting the head with left and right, and Lewis is down again. Lewis is down again. 3, 4, 5. He'll be okay. He'll be up, and this crowd is stunned into disbelief. Lewis is up at the count of 9, but he was down from a toe-to-toe exchange with Dempsey. He was down from a toe-to-toe belting exchange. Lewis's gloves are now being wiped off. Goldstein has not looked at Lewis, and I'm assuming, therefore, he considers the knockdown and its after effect here as routine. And we'll certainly take his word. Now they spar around again on the center of the ring. Dempsey appears to be a little cooler. He remembers that he missed the chance to put Lewis away before. Lewis puts a left to the mouth. Dempsey misses a right to the body. Lewis seems to be recovered again. He can take punishment, and apparently the blows of Dempsey's fists have a grinding effect on him, but he can keep consciousness. Dempsey rushes Lewis. Dempsey throws left and right to the body. Lewis hooks a left to the chin. Seconds remaining. Dempsey throws a good hook again. It's high on the head, but it jolts Lewis. Lewis, however, still throws his own left to the jaw of Dempsey, and there's the bell.
Dempsey's had Lewis down in both the second and third rounds, and still Lewis, face expressionless, relatively unmarked, is ready to go. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Okay, Murray Warner, Joe Lewis and Jack Dempsey. Joe's been down twice if you just joined us. Now he comes out very seriously composed. Dempsey races out, and again, Joe covers the head and face as Dempsey unleashes another attack to the head. Here's Dempsey landing a left and right to the jaw, a left and right to the head. Joe throws his own left hook to the head. It momentarily halts Dempsey, who pauses and goes back into his crouch. Dempsey moving forward again. Dempsey rifles the body with the left hook. Dempsey belts Lewis with the right. Joe returns the left hook to the body. Dempsey's now switching to the head. There's Dempsey with a good left and right to the face. Dempsey with a left and right to the head. Joe is down again. Joe's down again. 3, 4, 5. He's coming up, though. He'll be up in time. And again, I don't think he was that hurt. He got up before 8 that time. I don't think he was that hurt going down. Some fighters have been down in every round of the bout, and yet seem not that hurt. So here we go again. Lewis now is momentarily detained by Ruby Goldstein. His gloves are being wiped off. Now they're given the green light in the center of the ring. Lewis coming back surprisingly strong. Joe jabs and crosses a pretty combination to the face and dances away. Dempsey misses the left of the body as Joe sails off. Joe puts another quick left to the mouth before Dempsey can recover. Dempsey must be in awe of this man as much as we are. Here's Joe with a good smash to the heart. Dempsey makes Joe go to the clinch. For the same unexplainable reason that Joe has been down and can back strongly, we have the case of Marciano being upended by an Archie Moore, yet winning the fight. So no two knockdowns are the same. At the center of the ring, Joe, feeling even a little stronger, puts a left jab to the mouth, misses a right, makes a good left and right to the body from Dempsey. Joe dances away, but now comes back, and he is pressing Dempsey a little. Lewis jabs the face. Dempsey's short with a left to the body. Dempsey misses a right. Joe puts a good right to the midsection, and Dempsey fires a hard straight at Joe's head. Joe is driven back. Joe is driven back again. Dempsey on top of him. Dempsey hooks to the head now with the left, but Joe blocks and tries to tie Dempsey up. Jack simply pushes his hands away and dances away from Lewis. He doesn't want the clinch. Joe goes back to his stand-up stance. Joe jabbing at the head again. Dempsey trying to draw the lead. He immediately belts Joe with a straight right high on the head again, and Joe draws back the gun. Dempsey pushing in. Here's the Manasseh Mauler again with a right to the body. Joe defends against the left of the body, jerks his head back from the left, launched at the chin, and Joe ties Dempsey up. Here's the referee right over our microphone. Now on the break, Joe is ready. Dempsey has a left block while Joe hooks his own left to the head. Dempsey wails the body again, and Joe immediately moves into a clinch. There's the bell.
Three times in the last 3 rounds, Lewis has been on the canvas. Doc Kearns grinning in Dempsey's corner. Dempsey scowls across at the brown bomber. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Okay, Murray. Lewis has been down 3 times, but to me the total visual effect is 0. Dempsey has a large welt underneath the right eye, possibly the result of Lewis's jabs. Dempsey's usual firing the first shot, this time to the body. There is a good left hook under the heart, and quickly he moves away from the brown bomber. Lewis with hands up very close around the face, guarding the vital chin and jaw area. Now he circles with Dempsey. The left is out, feinting and stabbing. Dempsey virtually has his hands down. He is not sparring with Lewis in the classic sense. They circle around each other. Dempsey now feints a left to the body. Lewis does not throw or commit himself. Dempsey throws left and right to the body of Joe. Lewis returns his own left and right to the midsection, and they move into close quarters. Dempsey and Lewis both pumping rights to the belly, and referee Ruby Goldstein moves to take them apart. They are now finally completely in a tangle. Lewis seems to throw punches that are powered from the shoulders, while Dempsey's power seems to have a boosting station at every muscle. If he jabs, it's in the wrist. If he hooks, it's in the arm. The muscular coordination is simply superb. Now as they break off the clinch, it's Joe Lewis going to the jab again. But Dempsey finds an opening. Dempsey jerks his head slightly to the left, breaks out a solid left hook to the head. A left to the head by Dempsey again, but Lewis meets him with a pretty left and right to the jaw of his own, and Dempsey has had it for that exchange at least. Lewis threw a great deal into that flurry and won it. Now Dempsey steps back into action again. They spar in the center of the ring. It is Dempsey rushing in once more. Dempsey missing a left to the head and takes a light hook on the head from Lewis. They grapple, but it's Dempsey wrestling, and it's Lewis just trying to prevent himself from being mauled. Dempsey is a complete enigma in the ring.
1 second after leaving it, he is a gentle, soft-spoken person, but inside the ring, a virtual cannibal. Probably he's a mystery to himself. Here is the referee to separate them, and here is a good rally again. Here is Lewis off the clinch, putting a good left and right to the head. Dempsey drives him back with a stinging left and right to the body, and another left and right to the body by the Manasseh Mauler. Now Dempsey misses a right to the head, but in close. Lands cleanly to the midsection with left and right. There is a left under the heart. There is a right to the body by Dempsey. Lewis is not up to this particular challenge. Dempsey is moving ahead of him on well-timed rallies, I believe. Dempsey drives another left and right to the body. 30 seconds remaining. Lewis, for the moment, has to worry about not being caught on the ropes. Lewis drives his own left to the head. There's a left and right to the face by Lewis. Dempsey lands 2 more lefts to the body with good power. And now Dempsey steps up the body blasting, and Lewis takes a wailing under the heart. There is a left and right at the ribs by Dempsey. Dempsey simply does not let up. Lewis sends a short left to the chin. Dempsey is right back with a left to the body, a right to the ribs, a left to the chest by Dempsey. He really wails him at the bell.
Dempsey had Lewis in trouble at the end of round 5. It's been Jack Dempsey all the way in this computerized fight. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Right you are, Murray. Joe Lewis comes out to meet Jack Dempsey. They exchange hooks at the head, hooks at the body. They can't seem to get untangled suddenly. It's a quick clinch. Lewis had a fair round the previous round. There's no doubt about the computer correctly evaluating the supreme condition of both men at the very peak of their careers. All of the factors we're dealing with are in reference to this basic factor. Now off the clinch, here's Dempsey screaming back to action again, but Lewis beats him to the punch. Lewis sends a good left hook to the chin. Dempsey caught with the other guard down, also takes a right smash to the mouth. Lewis is on target now, jabbing Dempsey back, who is flailing with both hands in defense and offense. Dempsey, I think, has been jarred by Lewis in the first few seconds of round 6. Lewis relentlessly, but with some caution, moving forward again on Dempsey, who hooks a left to the head that Lewis catches on a hand. Lewis drives an accurate hard belt to the chin, right cross to the jaw. Dempsey is down. What about that? Dempsey is down. Here's the count. 4, 5. He'll be okay. He's taking the mandatory 8 count. He's okay, but he is down after downing his man several times. He's up now. His gloves being cleaned off by Ruby Goldstein, and will be going back to action in a second. Here's the green light. Lewis rarely wastes time when he has a man down. Lewis rushes Dempsey to the rope. Dempsey fires a left hook to the chin, but Lewis rips left and right to the head. Dempsey buries his head in Lewis's chest. Lewis cannot get throwing room. Dempsey pumps the body with left and right. Lewis is trying to step back, but Dempsey holds him with a hand. Lewis jars Dempsey's chin with a left. Dempsey moving his head left and right, and every time that Lewis brings up the short hooks with a free hand, Dempsey's jaw is somewhere else. Dempsey keeps priming the body with the right hand, then a left, then catching one of Lewis's hands. Lewis cannot or is not stepping back enough to sight his target. Now they're looking at each other with respective heads buried deeply in each other's chest bones. Lewis keeps driving left and right to the head. Lewis hooks a good left to the jaw. Now Dempsey targets Lewis with left and right to the jaw. Lewis is feeling the shot also. It is murderous inside. Murderous inside. It's no place for a stranger, and Ruby Goldstein is off to a side watching this exchange. Lewis steps back. This is a left to Dempsey's head. Lewis wraps Dempsey in the mouth with a good left hand. Lewis misses a left to the body. Lewis and Dempsey beating each other again with hooks to the head. Lewis and Dempsey again with left and right to the head. This is the most punishing kind of exchange that the boxing business has. Again, they're head-to-head, eye-to-eye. Lewis and Dempsey, left and right. Lewis cannot now step back. They're in a clinch, and here comes Ruby Goldstein out of his shell hole. Seconds left to go. What a round this has been. Ruby is taking them out to the center of the ring. Dempsey has been down, and now there's the green light once more. Lewis hooks a left to the body. There is the bell.
What a shocker. Doc Kearns went 3 feet in the air screaming when Dempsey hit the canvas. And what a comeback for Joe Lewis. There's the bell. Here's Guy.
Thank you, Murray. We witnessed another knockdown, making the 4th during the fight, which seems to have had little or no relationship to a knockout. Dempsey does look fresh, racing out to the 7th. But Dempsey again fails to get the first blow up there. He jerks back from a left jab, and as he does, Lewis transforms it into a good, solid left hook. And Dempsey is knocked off his gait and off to the left. Lewis immediately sends a message with a right hand to the body, but Dempsey blocks that. Now Jack moves in again. Jack rips his own left to the head as they move into a clinch. both men chewing at the ribs with a free right hand. And Ruby Goldstein moves to the tangle. Here at the peak of his career, Dempsey is 24, the Brown Bomber is 23. Lewis's best punch regarded as a straight right to the head. This blow particularly difficult against the Dempsey, who sticks like a parasite wherever he goes, and the only kind of fighter who can do damage to Dempsey is the fighter who has power harnessed to short drives. Such a fighter is Joe. Out at the center of the ring, they break. Lewis fires a left to the mouth, blocks a left to the body, thrown by the Manasseh Mauler. Dempsey, however, lands a straight right under the heart. Dempsey following swiftly. Dempsey hooks left and right to the midsection. Lewis moves off on the body attack, and as he does, puts two light left jabs to the face of Dempsey. Now a hard left jab to the face of Dempsey by Joe. Dempsey, though, follows after moving back just a step with hands cocked. Being pressed, trapped, cornered, these are all new experiences for the Brown Bomber, but it's the great fighter who can adjust to the situation and come out on top. Now Joe Louis has decided to make his stand right here at the ropes near this microphone, and Louis sticks a good left jab at the nose of Dempsey. Dempsey comes right in, throwing high and throwing swift at the head, but Louis parries beautifully with his right hand, and there is a beautiful combination by Lewis. A left to the head, a right to the jaw, a left hook to the face, all thrown in swift action by Lewis, and Dempsey has to retreat. The Manasseh Mauler goes backward, bobbing off to the right just a little bit. It's a temporary pause for Dempsey because there he is, screaming in once more at the body of Lewis. He wants him, and swiftly he is home with the right hand. Lewis does not answer the challenge. His hands instead are defending around his head. He feels it's coming. Dempsey tries a left hook to the head again. Lewis parries the blow well, and again Lewis, at great speed, sends left hook and right cross to the jaw. Part of Dempsey's nose got squashed in that collision. Now Lewis lets himself get pushed to the ropes, but he's in command. I think it's where he wants to be. And with back on the ropes, Lewis pops left and right to the weaving chin of Dempsey, whose head snaps back with the impact of each blow. Lewis hooks a good left to the body when Dempsey lets up for a moment. There's the bell.
Except for his knockdown of Dempsey in the sixth, the seventh was the Brown Bomber's best round. He was clearly in control. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Okay, Jack Dempsey apparently has fully recovered from his days of the canvas at the hands of the Brown Bomber, but Joe did have a sensational round, and the fight's becoming rational. At the center of the ring, Joe takes his place at the jab station again, opening up on Dempsey. Dempsey, in turn, fails to land the hook at the head. Joe jabs the nose of Dempsey, the nose which was bashed badly in the previous round. Dempsey now lands a grazing left to the head. Action is moving this way. Joe drives a straight right to the body when Dempsey appears in range, but Jack just as quickly disappears to his left, now is bobbing and weaving. Joe holds up, and both men gather their forces. Dempsey sweeps in again with head low. Jack drives a good left to the body. His left now is bobbing and weaving. Joe holds up, and both men gather their forces. Dempsey sweeps in again with head low. Jack tries a good left to the body. Joe Louis misses a right to the head, and Jack is tied up, but as usual is an unwilling customer to the business. Referee Ruby Goldstein speeds out of the neutral corner. He was a few feet away from them, and now caps them apart. The match has been cleanly fought, and it has been deadly brutal. The crowd here is enormous and in a constant high-tension state, as you might imagine. On the break, Lewis jabs once, jabs again, moves to his left. The jabs were hard. Dempsey stalks him, parries left, hooks hard to the chin with the right hand. Joe felt that and yields in the exchange, doing a little dance step off to the left. About a minute and a half gone in this round. Dempsey with hands held up high now. Here's a corking left to the head. Joe parries, but Dempsey has a good right hand immediately in its heels, and Joe did not see that coming. It jars him, and Joe immediately takes cover. Dempsey tries to find the target again, but Joe near the ropes is now weaving his head, completely covered in defense from side to side. Dempsey misses two hooks over the head, belts the body hard with left and right. Joe grabs him and holds. Referee Ruby Goldstein again takes the two men out to the center of the ring. 1 minute left. We have just seen heavyweight boxing beautifully executed. Joe at clever, workable defense, and Dempsey, for one of his few such moments, carefully searching out his target. On the break, Dempsey is jabbed at the face again and again by Lewis. Lewis tags Jack's body hard with a right. It sends Dempsey to the left. Dempsey has to take his breath. Dempsey sweeps in, and Joe rips the face with the left. And Joe sees an advantage, and Lewis drives a 1 and 2 to the face of Jack. The right was real hard. Dempsey has to retreat. Lewis follows. 30 seconds left. Lewis misses a right to the body. Dempsey is short to the left of the head. Jack rams his own good right to the body. And here is Jack driving a left hook to the head. Joe parries that. His own combination sinks in on the head and face of Dempsey. Jack, in turn, rips the body hard and is out again off the rope. Joe sets himself. The body blows were strong. Dempsey now blocks a left hook. Jack loops his own left to the head of Lewis. Lewis parries again, and this time catches the right coming in and returns his own hard right to the mouth at the bell.
The NCR 315 says Dempsey took the play in our Dream 8, and now, as it has been at the beginning of every round with these two, it's anybody's fight. Here's the bell and Guy.
Lewis's rise to the heavyweight championship has been meteoric. By comparison, Dempsey was so discouraged at the beginning he thought of quitting. But here they are. Both men moved swiftly out to the center of the ring. Lewis's head moderately tucked in his shoulder blade, the long left hand fully extended. Dempsey comes out with his head more deeply embedded than ever, but both hands held high and always at the triggers and always ready. Dempsey with a good left to the chin, and it moved Joe Lewis back on his heels a little bit. Lewis comes back. Lewis lashes out a left hand and misses, and Dempsey, in turn, throws a light left and right to the body. Lewis moves back a step, moves forward to the right. Lewis steps halfway out of range, back again. Lewis at the jabbing post. Lewis jabs the face again. Dempsey, in retaliation, files the left to the body. Lewis snaps a vicious left jab to the chin. Dempsey is now an even more difficult target at the head, but Lewis is getting in every other blow. And now, Lewis is partially tied up by Dempsey. Dempsey cannily keeps the right hand free, churning at Lewis's ribs and hurting him. And now they tie each other up. Both of these men seem impregnable at the body. Both of them have been great examples to the rest of their profession in personal training habits. Referee Goldstein pries them apart. Lewis at the jab once more. Dempsey is now drawing Lewis's left hand a little bit, I get the feeling. Lewis shuffles forward. Dempsey is on a deep crouch. Really looks the smaller man in the ring at this point. Lewis, in fact, has to punch downward. But Lewis rams him hard on the ear with the left hand, takes another good left to the body from Dempsey in turn, and they tie each other up again. Here's Ruby Goldstein patting Dempsey on the back, and Dempsey breaks. They move out to the center of the ring. 1 minute left. Dempsey on the break, jumps Lewis with a left hook to the head. Lewis blocks it, pulls Dempsey's left hand, hooks his own good left to the chin. Dempsey wriggles like it itches, but Lewis hangs tight. They separate. Lewis clicks his left and right to the mouth on the break. Dempsey sends home the left to the head. Dempsey steps out, leaps back again. Lewis parries the left at the head, but Dempsey's right is immediately on him with great force, and Lewis's timing is just knocked apart. Here's Lewis, missing a left to the chin as a result, and Dempsey comes back. They jolt him with left and right to the head, and Lewis now standing up straight, backing up from Dempsey, and we have a pause. Now they seem to have their second win. Here's Dempsey stalking Lewis. Here's Dempsey rubbing another left and right to the head of Joe, but takes a left jab and right cross to the mouth in turn. Seconds remaining. Dempsey fires another left to the head. They exchange good left hooks to the jaw. Lewis is not moving with his usual speed, at least his speed in this fight. There's the bell.
Dempsey's really keeping the pressure on. Still neither man cut, though both show those hard swollen lumps where solid shots have landed. Here's the bell and here's Guy.
Right, Murray Warner. Lewis comes sailing across the ring. That's the fastest I've ever seen him move off a bell. There is a good left hook to the head of the Manasseh Mauler. Dempsey fights back with left and right to the body. They fall into an immediate clinch. Dempsey wants time to think about it. For one thing, Lewis has to do something about solving Dempsey's timing. Dempsey has now sped up the right to the head when his left is parried. Lewis has been stung repeatedly. This can be an immediate problem at hand. Now off the clinch, here's Lewis with a good left jab and right cross, beating Dempsey again to the opening blow. Dempsey moves to the body now, trying to maul Lewis there. Lewis bounces a good left off Dempsey's chin, and Dempsey is well creamed with that one. He has to go for the immediate clinch, but Lewis doesn't want it. Lewis pushes him off. Dempsey has to keep on fighting. Dempsey rips a good left to the head. Lewis is coming on. Lewis meets the challenge with a hard left and a right to the jaw. Lewis ducks a return right. Lewis pummels the body. Lewis again bombs Dempsey's head and jaw with left and right. Lewis is throwing fast at the head. Dempsey is falling back. Dempsey tries mixing, but he can't land now. Lewis in a brutal rally. Dempsey is down. Dempsey is down with a right to the jaw. He has one hand on the upper strand. The count is 5, 6. He'll make it. He is up as the count reaches 9, but he really caught it that time. Up at the count of 9, shaking his head. Ruby Goldstein checking his gloves, cleaning them off. Lewis champing at the bit in the neutral corner, now moves quickly out. Lewis's first blow, a hard right under the heart. Dempsey is trying to fight his way out of the fog. His body doesn't seem to have the iron in it. But Dempsey, fighting instinctively, lands left and right to the head as Lewis drives his own left and right to the head of Jack. And Dempsey now ties him up. You have to say, with a minute remaining, it was inspiring to see Dempsey come off the canvas in what could have been as much pure reflex as anything else, instinctively throwing punches. And although he didn't take punishment from Dempsey's hitting, it did prevent Lewis from sighting his target. Out at the center of the ring again, Lewis bursts forward. Lewis sends left hook right cross to the jaw. Dempsey rams into Lewis. Lewis has his left arm looped around Dempsey. He digs 2 hard rights to the body. Lewis trying to push the Manasseh Mauler off, but that takes quite a bit of doing. 30 seconds left. Dempsey is insistent. Now Lewis gets free in the encounter. Dempsey gets in a good left to the chin. Lewis misses a left. Lewis and Dempsey exchange hard right hooks to the head. Now it's changed. Left and right hooks and left and right to the jaw. And then Lewis and Dempsey tie each other up, and it appears this fight is apparently heading for round 11. They clinch. Referee Ruby Goldstein hustles to the scene. He wants this action going at this pace, but there is the bell.
The NCR 315 says with punchers like these, anything can happen, and one of those Lewis bombs happened in round 10. Dempsey looks okay now. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Okay, right at the bell. It's Lewis moving out swiftly again and taking up his jabbing position. Lewis jabs once, twice to the mouth of Dempsey. Dempsey comes back, winging at Lewis with a good left and right to the head, and Lewis immediately ties him up. It's beginning to look like a battle plan. Lewis simply comes out, slipping a few to the face, and then ties Dempsey up. That's probably to cool him off. Incidentally, Lewis's left jab has been relatively less important as the fight has progressed. It's hard to left jab an opponent who covers you like an umbrella. You can only hit such a man with a folded hand. Dempsey, on the other hand, has been nullified at his right to the body because he has been wrapped to the chops every time. Incredible as it seems, Dempsey looks excellent here in round 11. Dempsey drives hard at the body off the break. Lewis moves to the right, busts a good left on the chin of Jack Dempsey. The Manasseh Mauler in turn hooks a light left to the body. Dempsey throws a right to the face. It is blocked. Lewis, again standing up, stabs him twice on the chin with a good left hand in rapier fashion. Dempsey retreats. Lewis pushes on. Lewis pushes the left hand into his face again. Now Lewis is thrown back by the force of Dempsey's rush to the body, and the Manasseh Mauler pounds the right deep into the belly of Joe Lewis. Lewis answers with screaming left and right hook to the jaw. Dempsey's puffed cheekbones look higher than ever, and they're high enough as it is. They maul each other around the head and now go into a clinch.
Is referee Ruby Goldstein speeding across the ring to separate them just above our microphone. Dempsey has KO'd 49 of his opponents, was knocked out once. Lewis has KO'd 54. He was knocked out twice. Once by a man he may have to face in this tournament yet, Rocky Marciano. At the center of the ring again, Dempsey tries a left hook at the head. Lewis ducks it, parries a hard right, which follows on the heels. Well done by Joe, and Lewis puts a straight right to the face of Dempsey as they move into a clinch. 1 minute left. Once more at the center of the ring, Goldstein takes them apart. Dempsey lands a good left to the mouth. He wants to follow, but Lewis jabs him away. Dempsey stalks forward, crouched very low. Lewis jabs again faster than Dempsey can adjust. Lewis dissolves a left jab into a hard left hook to the chin. Dempsey comes screaming back, and there's a broadside attack at the body again with left and right. Lewis trying to contain Dempsey, but the Manasseh Mauler rips solid left and right to the body. 30 seconds remaining. Lewis taking a half step backward, now finds good room for the left jab, and Lewis sends out the left jab and right cross to the mouth that stings Dempsey. But here's Jack again with left and right pounded to the midsection. Lewis ties him up below, hooks a good left to the head. Now Lewis has him tightly, and here we go in a clinch with seconds remaining. Now Dempsey wrenches free. Lewis clips him on the chin. Dempsey moves out of range. It's been a beautiful round, fought at fine speed for both men. Now, there's the bell.
The 11th was the first of the fight that appeared to be even. Both men landed well and kept the fight moving along. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Right. Joe Lewis and Jack Dempsey in a match brought to life by the NCR 315 computer. Lewis and Dempsey out at ring center. Lewis has not completely solved the fast right that Jack throws after the left, but he did avoid it at least once the previous round. Lewis is at his battle station jabbing early, and I see that Jack is cut at the face. Lewis has stuck the mitt in his face at least every round for part of the time. Dempsey's circling. Lewis is trying to narrow the area between them down a little bit at a time. I get the impression that Lewis is tougher at very short range, say 6-inch blows or so, and Dempsey is tougher at the slightly longer range. Lewis jabs the mouth of the Manasseh Mauler. Dempsey leaps in with a jolting left hook, and Joe hangs on for the clinch. Here's referee Ruby Goldstein suddenly summoned from a neutral corner. Dempsey is 6'1", Lewis 6'1.5". They both do look bigger. Here's the break. Lewis stepping back and forward again. Lewis feinting the left. Dempsey brushes the left aside and walloped Joe hard on the mouth with a strong left hand. Joe has to pull back half a step and give ground. Now he slides in and ties Jack up immediately. Referee Ruby Goldstein on the scene again. Lewis, as strong as they make him, has less trouble tying up Dempsey than a clever Tunney did. Lewis has those insistent hands and shoulders, but he has had trouble this fight. Make no mistake about it. Now Goldstein pries them apart. Lewis sends a good left to the jaw on the break, but Dempsey's on top of Joe fighting back. Joe hooks another left and scores. The Manasseh Mauler, though, seems unmindful of the danger overhead. And here is Dempsey sending a barrage of lefts and rights at the body of Joe. Another left and right to the midsection of Lewis. Lewis takes them without wincing, though, and jabs at Dempsey's head and jabs. Joe hits the top of Dempsey's headpiece, and Dempsey, pushing Joe along, is whacking left and right at the body, left and right at the body again. A minute remaining in round 12. Joe, trying to guard down below, can only block 1 out of every 3, and finally Dempsey tires and falls into a welcome clinch from Lewis's point of view. It was an excellent display of bodybuilding and rapid fire. But again, Jack can't get the full steam that he needs or the full belting distance. Lewis is certain that Jack needs the explosion room and simply crowds those hands in when Dempsey flurries. At the center of the ring again, 30 seconds left. Joe has been pounded at the body before, I might add, by such bruisers as Galento, but Galento used to have telescopic sights and would hit you from far out. Dempsey ducks a jab of Lewis. Dempsey misses a right to the head, takes 2 steps to the right, and jabs nicely to the teeth of Joe. And these remarkable men have busted each other with abandon, and yet here they are with seconds left. Here's Lewis jabbing the nose of Dempsey, and Dempsey puts a good left hook on the head of Joe, rushes him in close, and there's the bell.
Dempsey scored with those solid shots to the body and head, taking the last round. Both men have been shook up in every round of this fight. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Thank you, Murray Warren. This fight, contrary to large majority prediction, has gone amazingly long. Joe Louis and Jack Dempsey, it's a scheduled 15-rounder, of course. Louis comes out ready, but Dempsey flies at Joe. Dempsey busts a solid left on Lewis's head. Louis fires right back. There's the left jab and right cross to Dempsey's head and face, and they tie each other up immediately. As I look at them, I doubt right now that either man could easily fell the other with a single blow. They're not getting the usual power in their shots as they were at the beginning, of course. And barring a lucky shot, they seem intent on staying. I think the pacing, even for Dempsey, has been great. On the break, Louis breaks out 2 fine jabs to the face. There's another jab to the chin by Louis. Dempsey covers up, blocks a 4th jab. Dempsey comes back to drive a right to the body, and Joe goes into reverse for a short distance. Dempsey does not follow immediately, and Joe stands pat for a moment near the center of the ring, urging him to come on. Dempsey is coming, and Jack springs off his feet into the air. Dumps Louis with a left to the head. Joe hooks his own left to Dempsey's head. He's thrown back a little, and now he swerves in to tie Dempsey up. That's all he had in mind. But Dempsey gets a hand free, and here's Dempsey digging under the heart once and twice, and then to the ribs. But finally he is subdued, and Dempsey and Louis are in a clinch. And here comes Ruby Goldstein. Louis, I think, is a little weary. Both men have been decked, of course, several times. We've seen 2 great heavyweights bomb each other to a fare thee well and box with intelligence to boot. Here's Dempsey on the break, clipping Lewis's chin with a left hand. Joe is back very quickly with left and right committed. Dempsey sidesteps a left to the head. Dempsey buries a good right to the body and rips left and right to the head, and Joe reaches up to cover. But his hands were very slow in coming up to defend. A minute left. This is the first round that weariness seems to have hit Joe, so you can actually see it. Here's Joe whipping a right to the midsection in close. Jack is throwing in a frenzy at the head, though. He has noticed Lewis's difficulty in coming up for the guard. But Louis ducks, swings, jabs his way out of immediate range. And Dempsey has got to have some respect for that left sword of the brown bomber. Here they are in a clinch overhead, just over the microphone at these ropes. Dempsey works a hand free, wallops the body. Joe sends a little left to the chin. Dempsey steps back, misses a hook to the head. Joe jabs at the mouth. Dempsey comes in again, buries his head against Joe, and whams the belly with a good right. It's funny, both of the men have their eyes open as their heads are buried against each other's chests. And though the blows drive back skin and bone, every time they land, their eyes are unblinking as if swimming underwater. Only this close can you really judge the horrible impact of what these 2 guys are throwing. And now they move into a tie-up that's tight. There's the bell.
Dempsey scored well again with those tough shots on the obviously tiring Louis. Those body belts have taken their toll. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Okay, Murray, a weary Louis went back to his corner, but only a slightly more refreshed Louis comes out. Dempsey has evidently been told by Doc Kearns that Louis is fair bait, and now here's Dempsey with a burst like out of a cannon. He's immediately at Louis. There's a left to the head, a right to the jaw, a left hook to the face by Dempsey, but Louis is up to the challenge and fighting back. Louis slams a good left to the chin, a hard hook with the right hand. Louis and Dempsey blasting away. Louis trying to force Dempsey to back up, and the force of Dempsey's early attack seems to have brought Louis alive. Here's Louis taking a left and right to the mouth from the Manasseh Mauler. Louis weaves his head from side to side. Dempsey is throwing all over the place and everywhere. Dempsey lands a right to the jaw. Louis swings in and belts Dempsey with solid left hook right cross to the mouth. The crowd is screaming. Louis follows with left hook right cross to the jaw. Dempsey's attack now is brought to a sudden halt. Louis fought it off, and as sometimes happens, if a natural reserve is there, it takes a crisis to bring the strength to the top. They've moved to a clinch, and referee Ruby Goldstein comes out of a neutral corner as if coming out of an air raid shelter when the alarm is over. That was no man's land up there for a few moments. Now they're sparring on the far side of the ring. Louis jabs a left to the mouth. Louis jabs a light left to the teeth. Dempsey feints with a left, throws a right to the head, and lands. Louis taps his glove, steps back, sets off to the right. Louis sets again. There is a left jab to the mouth by Louis, and it looks better than it did before. Louis is sharp with a left jab now. Dempsey hooks a left to the body. Dempsey still going on all cylinders. Louis puts a beautiful 1-2 on the face of Dempsey, but here's Dempsey at the throttle again. Here's Dempsey with a hard left and right to the jaw that jars Louis, but he comes fighting back with a left hook to the head. Dempsey just keeps coming on. Here are two lefts to the chin by Dempsey, a right to the jaw by Dempsey, a brutal left and right to the face by Dempsey, and Lewis takes another hard shot to the face, and Lewis is down and maybe hurt. Here is the count. 4, 5, 6. He is getting up slowly. He'll make it. He is up at 9. He is on his feet, but he is shaken. Dempsey wants to crash at him at once. Goldstein carefully wiping Lewis's gloves off, and now here's the green light, and Dempsey does rush at Lewis again, but too close, and he can't get a clear shot at him. Dempsey is weaving and trying to shoot a left and right at the body, but Lewis stands him off with a left jab. Lewis can hardly see, I think, through bloodshot eyes, through perspiration in the eyes, and perhaps some blood. Seconds remaining only. We've had 6 knockdowns in this fight so far, and here is Lewis putting a left to the chin futilely as Dempsey wails away at the body with left and right. Another left to the body by Dempsey, and mercifully, there's the bell.
The NCR 315 computer churning out the facts for this dream fight between Joe Louis and Jack Dempsey. 6 times they've been down. The bell, and here's Guy.
At their peak, nobody could knock these men out, and they can't seem to knock each other out either. They come out to the center of the ring, touch blood, both stoic, both determined, both dedicated athletes, and the two most idolized champions the boxing world has ever known. Dempsey starts swiftly, but Louis is ready incredibly. Louis drives him both with a left hook to the chin or right to the jaw. He seems well recovered. Dempsey is thrown back on the ropes. Lewis puts a left jab to the face, a left hook to the chin, and Dempsey misses a left and right over the head in turn. The crowd is expectant, and they must be asking, does Lewis have the strength to finish, let alone finish off Dempsey? Dempsey covers the brown bomber, and in they move to a clinch. Lewis was expecting the Dempsey rush at the beginning off the bell, and he was ready and cooled him. On the break, Dempsey again, as usual, trying to seize upon the smallest opportunity at hand, fires a sudden right hand, and it is blocked. Lewis's guard was ready again, and Dempsey now drives a hard left to the body as Lewis was moving slightly to the left. Lewis now misses a right, Dempsey feinting with his left. Lewis parries, but again gets conked on the jaw with a good right hand from Dempsey. Lewis knew the right was coming, everybody saw it, but reflexes did not seem sharp enough to get that guard up, and Lewis has to retreat. Lewis gets the jab out again. Dempsey is held at bay for a little while at least. Here is Dempsey missing. Here is Lewis missing. Dempsey crouching low. Dempsey blocks Lewis with a hard right under the heart, and that is the first such good strong hand Dempsey has been able to land in that area since way back. And he jumps right back at Lewis, who is jarred for the moment. Lewis went to the counter, which would have been rocking blows to the chin, but couldn't get enough steam or direction in his hands. Instead, Lewis suffers the blow, and they're in the center of the ring. This is round 15 with a minute left. Both men have been knocked down several times, have been close to knockouts. There must be great mutual respect for each other. The crowd now is on its feet as we go into the clubhouse turn. Lewis jabs, tries a right hand to the mouth. Dempsey blocks the blow. Dempsey sends a hard right to the head of Lewis. The brown bomber meets the fire with a good left to the chin, a right to the jaw by Lewis, a left hook to the mouth by Dempsey in turn. But Lewis comes swarming back again. He is fighting. Here he is with left and right to the jaw. His head jerks from side to side, but he blasts the body with left and right on his own. Here's Dempsey with a powerful left to the mouth, and Lewis sends a hard left and right to the head. Dempsey back again with a left to the mouth, a right to the jaw. Lewis sends a left and right to the head. They're standing in the center of the ring now. Everybody else standing here in Miami Convention Hall. These guys are belting each other from stem to stern. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And I'm sure the vast audience here agrees. There's the bell, but the two guys up there don't hear it. Dempsey and Lewis are still going at it, although the bell has sounded. And here comes referee Ruby Goldstein trying to separate them and save both their lives. It is over. It is over, and it was certainly a great fight. Come in, Murray Warren.
6 times these great athletes were dropped. Lewis, 6 times these great athletes were dropped. Lewis went down in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and in the 14th, but appeared most severely hurt in the 14th round. While Dempsey was canvassed in the 6th and 10th, and now both are standing in mid-ring since Ruby Goldstein did get them apart, arms about each other, congratulating each other on the great fight each made, like the fine gentlemen and excellent sportsmen they both are. Now, Paul Berman is signaling for attention. Let's go up in the ring for the final result.